Texture writes in, who's the urinator aiming at today? I'm not the urinator today. It sounds like Mike Ryan is the urinator today, based on Mike Ryan got out of that game last night during the rain delay.
Right.
Turned the TV off, doesn't care about baseball, doesn't like baseball, has grown to hate baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Tuned in yesterday because he's a sports fan. Put that up on the poll, Guillermo, at your convenience, please. At Lebitard Show. Did you check out for the night during the rain delay?
How could you? Like, even if you don't like baseball, but you like sports, I mean, that's a classic game last night. How could you check out?
They were talking about cells. They were talking about storm cells. I didn't think the rain delay was going to be that fast. I stayed with it, too, but only because it was quick. If that had gone till how long would you wouldn't have stayed with it till 4 o'clock in the morning?
Probably not. But I would have stayed with it a lot longer than, the 20 minutes that we had to deal with it. I would have stayed with it till maybe 2 in the morning, Maybe. I mean, listen, I was fighting to stay up last night. I really was. I had to stand up, and we have leftover Halloween candy, and I just kept going to the bowl, dipping my hand in. I didn't care what I was eating at that point, and then I would just eat it, pace around my living room, and then back to the Halloween bowl. I got mad at several times.
Oh, you got mad at Madden, probably. Instead.
I was mad at Madden. I was mad at Chapman. I mean, I got mad. I was mad at Joe Buck several times. I mean, he's not good. I'm sorry. He's not great. No, Joe Buck, I mean, he's just – sometimes I feel like Joe Buck is watching a different game than I'm watching.
Well, what did he say last night that bothered you? Because Joe Buck is one of the best among his peers. And right. I know many people don't like him. He is a polarizing broadcaster.
Sure.
But among his peers, he is viewed as someone who is very good at what he does for a living.
Yeah, I mean, he was praising Joe Madden for taking out Kyle Hendricks and replacing him with John Lester, and Hendricks was pitching very, very well, and Lester's on 2 days rest. And so when he actually made the move, Buck started to criticize the move, question the move a little bit. They give up 2 runs. Then in the bottom or the top of that inning, David Ross hits a home run. And Joe Buck comes out and says that home run doesn't happen without that pitching change. Kind of giving credit to Joe Madden.
Oh,
but the David Ross home run. Are you kidding me?
You wouldn't do that during a broadcast, Stugatz? You wouldn't be
that change, Dan. That change took a run away. Like it was a 5-run lead, and then it became a 3-run lead. Like they lost a run with that pitching change. They lost a run, and Joe Buck is giving him credit for it.
4-run lead. I don't want to do the math on it.
Joe Buck.
So I just want to get this straight. You're criticizing someone for changing their opinion or having flip-flopping opinions. That's what just happened there. When you are the guy who nobody can keep track of your opinions around here and always has conflicting opinions. Because it's not often from one segment to the next. Sometimes within the same segment.
Right, but that's kind of my deal. That's what I do. Joe Buck is held to a higher standard. He is a polished broadcaster. He is calling Game 7 of the World Series. He can't do that. I can. He can't.
All right, this is very disappointing that Stugatz has turned this into a bashing of Joe Buck, one of the great games ever played in the history of baseball.
Bad job.
Guillermo, also put this on the poll, please. Do you also eat to keep yourself awake? I think this is a weird thing that Stugatz does. When Stugatz needs to stay awake, he does so by eating. He does so because he figures if he's eating, he won't fall asleep.
Yes, the act of eating that keeps me
I could fall asleep with a piece of pork in my mouth. I could fall asleep chewing. So I don't understand this thing that you do, but at Lebitard Show is where you go. So Mike Ryan is watching Room 237 last night, a conspiracy movie about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And he's got it on the big TV, and Game 7 only gets his small TV.
Yeah,
no sound.
Disrespectful to Game 7, man, and to the game of baseball. I mean, Game 7 and baseball deserved your main screen last night, the big screen, the big stage.
It's not about disrespecting it. Like, I just don't like it. In fact, I thought I was paying it plenty of respect by watching it.
Oh, just by having it on any TV?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I mean, I just don't care for it. The game was boring, and that was an exciting game for a baseball game. It's just like, come on, man. A sporting event should not be ending around 2 a.m. Eastern time. Like, I can't do this. I saw the radar, and it looked like it was going to be a longer rain delay.
Oh, Mike, knock it off. Like, on that front, you would have stayed with a Heat game. You were watching regular season Heat games against Sacramento until 2 o'clock in the morning.
No. Not till 2 a.m. in the morning.
Mike, an overtime game against Sacramento?
Oh, if it's for the World Championship, yeah, but I like that sport.
Right.
I know,
Like,
but that's what's happening there. It's not.
Yeah, but this happens a lot to this sport. The games are just too long. That's part of my general problem. I don't want to get into like a whole baseball thing. It's not a matter of disrespect, though. Like, it's just I don't have a connection point to this game, man. I don't care.
I'm going to rewind here,
Okay.
and I'm not going to let you guys slip on this stuff.
All right.
I am not going to discuss that game of baseball today with your analysis that Joe Buck stinks and his analysis that the games are too long.
Okay.
That is not how we're doing that today.
Totally fair.
We
Fair.
could do that any day of the year. We're not doing that one today.
Absolutely. Today is baseball day. Go ahead and celebrate the World Series. Or
Oh,
whatever.
I've got to figure out a way to talk about this today. I have got to figure out a way to talk about this today because so often when we talk about baseball, the reaction is hostile. I was talking with a baseball friend of mine yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me how annoyed he was yesterday that our show about home field advantage and the stuff we were talking about Game 7 immediately lapsed into Patriots talk. That we went from having the last at bat in baseball to all of a sudden we were talking about overtime in football and who would you rather have the 4 downs to get 10 yards. We immediately switched. Sure. And he was frustrated by it. And I was explaining to him, listen, man, you don't understand how hostile the response is anytime I talk about baseball. It's worse than when I talk about race. And then I look in the other room and nobody's listening to me. Not Mike, not Roy, not Chris, not Guillermo, not Allison. I'm like, I can't do the show that way. I can't do a show where all I'm getting is hostility on the text. And then I'm sitting there looking in the other room and everyone's bored. And it happens every time I talk about baseball, unless I'm talking about the Marlins. Then Guillermo and Chris are totally locked in, and Mike is thinking about Kurt Abbott.
That's how that works.
What about you, Roy?
I'm fully engaged with all baseball talk.
Well, your face always looks the same, though, so you can be something of a conundrum.
Yeah, you can't tell.
I can't tell whether you're into it or whether you're not into it. There might be joy doing cartwheels on your insides.
Neutral.
Your face is neutral. You give off the poise and the pulse of Hendrix. Just always the same, except mysteriously when talking for 30 seconds about the Panthers in the sport that is in your wheelhouse more than any other. Weirdly. Then you're a bundle of anxiety.
So odd.
It is what a weird hiccup. It's like John Lester not being able to throw to first base. It's like, why is that the place? Roy got nervous and started getting totally shaky yesterday during the local hour talking about the Panthers, which is a subject he knows a great deal about.
Yep.
You remember that inside the park home run that Kurt Abbott had? Oh, man. Memories.
Good
Was
times.
that against the Reds?
Yeah, I think it was against the Reds. Good times, man.
So I've got to figure out a way today because I want to talk. I love baseball. You know I love baseball.
I know
but
you do.
Doing this show has knocked some of that out of me because I can't talk about it here.
Right.
There's no one to talk about it with.
Well, I mean, I'm here.
Stugatz, the other variable here is that you've stopped paying attention to baseball. You care less. You want to change all the rules. You want to put a ball pit in the outfield. And if I ask you the players for anybody, unless it's the playoffs, you don't know who they are. Like,
Right. Well, that's fair. I mean, I don't have as much interest in it as I used to. But speaking of changes, imagine last night, 10th inning, home run derby.
I would have stayed up for that.
The drama. I mean, imagine. Seriously. Rizzo, Bryant, Schwarbs for the Cubs. I can't name 3 Indians.
I am not going to do this again. You guys, this is the thing to watch for during today's show. The thing to watch for is when I start discussing baseball in a certain way and Mike and Stugatz try to be rodeo clowns and try to go to the cliche topics of, he just did the Mike and Mike How to Change Baseball show, where they go to the cliche baseball topics that are evergreens that are totally all purpose. That is the way for you guys to listen to today's show. You will recognize it. So I'll be a rodeo bull talking about bullpen usage and you will see Mike and Stugatz. What are the other cliche baseball topics that you guys can go to? Because you've burned 3 in the first 10 minutes of today's show.
Oh, we got steroids and the DH still in our back pockets, man.
Yeah.
Honest to God, you guys just did in 10 minutes. You guys just did how to fix baseball. Joe Buck stinks. And the games are too long.
Yep. Also, A-Rod might actually make it to the Hall of Fame, but as a broadcaster.
That's a good one. I'm writing that one down. You ever read that story about Joe Buck being addicted to hair plugs and how it almost cost him his career?
Yeah, he lost his voice doing that. That was a rare thing that Joe Buck did. I mean, he was selling a book, but he went full vulnerable there with people who can't be trusted with vulnerability. Because people really don't like him, and so you arm people with that. He was talking about how he was an ego monster, vain. He, had 11 hair plug surgeries, and ended up losing his voice because of it. Which, I mean, put that up on the poll too, Guillermo, at your convenience. Did you think that you could lose your voice from getting hair plug surgeries?
Wish he lost his voice last night.
Dan Le Batard.
561, eat it!
Stugatz.
Eat it, 561.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
We're always talking around here about the headlines that will make you read the story no matter what you're doing. And Ovalle has a way of writing these stories, and Miami has a way of producing these stories. Before we get to him, though, Allison, today's guest list is Ric Flair. Plus, is there going to be anybody else? Anybody from yesterday? I understand that the laser surgery farter is in Hong Kong. That one's going to be very hard to pull off.
That is very hard to pull off. I don't know if that's going to happen. The woman who is suing, that I'm hoping that happens. She's the one who got the steak dinner and was supposed to win $43 million or whatever
That's
the
right.
number was.
A malfunctioning slot machine ended up with her getting a steak dinner instead of $43 million.
But she is in a lawsuit, so I don't know if she can talk. And the other person, Bebop Doobop, that guy
Bebop,
has,
the doo-wop, the bebop, the debop,
he has 5 felony charges of like assaulting a police officer, and he's also homeless. So the cell phone is
All right,
difficult.
so we gave you a lot of tricky assignments.
He actually just got arrested again for attacking a police officer in Washington.
Sounds like you're making excuses.
David Ovalle is here.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
And so the headline in the Miami Herald was mangled penis leads to 40 months in prison for woman who performed illegal surgery. And he has a way of writing these stories. And as I said, Miami has a way of producing them. So thank you for joining us. Give us how it is that you happened upon this story, David.
Well, I always call Miami's criminal court the best theater in all of South Florida, and just happened to be in the hallway, and one of the prosecutors said, "Hey, you need to check out this hearing." And this was a couple weeks ago with another doctor who had been arrested as former doctor who had been arrested as part of this same case. And lo and behold, it's just this bizarre case where this poor guy got, and it actually went on for more than a year. He gets the surgery, and it kind of doesn't go well in the first go around. And for like a year, he's dealing with his mangled junk, and then he keeps getting different creams, and they keep giving him all this different stuff, and then a year later, he ends up doing the second surgery to try to fix it, and that one didn't go so well either. And then they ended up arresting the two doctors fake doctors because he could no longer perform sexually and all kinds of other issues.
All right, hold on a second. I've got only 1 million questions, so just give me a second.
Seriously.
All right. First of all, and try and keep it as clean as you can, but the first surgery that he was going in for was what? Enlargement?
Yeah, the first one was an enlargement. Now, mind you, with the same woman who used to be his facial lady, he had actually done some surgeries with like a butt enhancement and also like a chin enhancement, all done in like a warehouse in Hialeah. And this woman's not a doctor; she's just like a facial lady. And I think she might have had some medical training in Colombia, of course. And then he's like, oh well, let's make my penis bigger. So he does the surgery, and that one didn't go so well. So then it kind of just all spiraled from there.
Okay, so when you're talking about a mangled penis, what are we talking about? What were the issues and again, be careful if you can, what were the issues that came upon this man in the botched surgery?
Well, there was a lot, but gosh, let's see, how do I dance around this? A lot of it was, bleeding, skin was raw, fluid back up. He couldn't, urinate or get, aroused. I mean, there was just all kinds of problems, man. And it was, let me tell you, I've covered a lot of weird things in my career, but it was I couldn't even, I was cringing and just squirming in my seat listening to this stuff in court, and also when I was reading the court documents.
So what was she putting into his penis? Because we were talking once about the Fix-A-Flat doctor. I think it was Pebbles the model. I think she was doing surgery on somebody with Fix-A-Flat. I might be confusing my pop culture stories. Regardless,
I'm on it.
It was a butt enhancement with Fix-A-Flat. What was she putting into the penis?
It wasn't Fix-A-Flat. It was like this. It's probably like a silicone type of filler that I guess is pretty widely used in Colombia. And a lot of people go down to Colombia for it. But then when they need it done cheaper, then they do it here in people's houses and warehouses and random fake clinics.
But Dave, you agree he probably should have had concerns when he walked into a warehouse as opposed to a doctor's office.
That's sort of the universal reaction. But I think it's normally $500. I think he might have paid $1,000 for the second surgery to try to fix it. And I think I was kind of researching it last night, and I think it can run you $10,000 to $13,000 for the real procedure to make it bigger and longer and thicker. So that's kind of what I guess. Yeah, it's just cheaper.
Wait a minute. This doctor told the man to tie 2 popsicle sticks to his penis to keep it straight while it healed?
Yeah, man. And he's so this other doctor, the second guy who got arrested, used to be a plastic surgeon, and he'd actually, this is not the first patient penis mangling that's he's been involved with. There was another one in the 90s that got him in trouble, and ultimately he lost his license, did prison time, and he came back out and he was doing it again, supposedly, allegedly. And he, that was his remedy when the guy's texting him pictures of it, and he said just take two sticks and tie it together, keep it straight, it'll heal better that way. And then he just stopped answering his text after a while.
Anything funny or weird we're missing?
Well, the interesting thing is the defense lawyer for this woman actually represented another couple that was doing butt enhancements in their home in Hialeah, and that one was interesting because the victim in that case was a stripper, and she the reason it kind of came to light was because, from what I understanding, is there was a cop who was actually at a strip club and said, "Hey, what's going on with your butt? It's kind of messed up." And that's sort of how the investigation got rolling. And those people are now, they're now on probation. They're convicted of all of that. So it's this huge industry that's kind of underground. I mean, it's crazy amount of money in South Florida.
What was the defense team's strategy?
Cooperate. She flipped. Let me tell you, she was close to, she could have done up to 93 months to 35 years in prison if she'd gone to trial. And ultimately,
she got off light. This is the most egregious thing I've seen in the history of the American justice system. This woman getting off for 40 months, she should be off. This should be death penalty.
The other guy can't get off at all.
Yeah, as the lawyer said, she was facing a stiffer sentence, and she ended up only getting 40 months. But she's got to cooperate against the other doctor, so that's the trade-off.
David Ovalle with us on 790 The Ticket. The headline in the Miami Herald: mangled penis leads to 40 months in prison for woman who performed illegal surgery. How prevalent is this in Miami? We are the capital for this, right? There is Los Angeles. Nobody's got Columbia. Nobody's got us beat on this, right?
For illegal, yeah, man, it's huge. The irony is that case I was talking about with the stripper, who is the victim. when the cops raided that couple's home where they were doing this, there was actually a medical doctor, a real medical doctor there who was taking his wife to get a procedure there. So it's like when they raided the house, man, it's big, and I've covered, I don't know, 3 or 4 different deaths involving some of these illegal operations. And there's always different lawsuits and different Yeah, it's huge. And a lot of it stems from our, sort of our relationship with Colombia. They actually will organize trips to go down to Colombia to get work done. And then sometimes they need to do the touch-ups and all that. So they'll do them here in homes, in living rooms, and warehouses.
How do I ask this question? David Ovalle with us, Miami Herald. Again, the headline, mangled penis leads to 40 months in prison for woman who performed illegal surgery. He always ends up in this place where he finds these ridiculous, these crazy, absurd stories. The punishment for her should be what?
Well, the bottom of the sentencing guidelines was like 93 months. But, if that was my penis, I don't know, man. I don't know. It would be hard for me to want to get up and testify in court, so I can understand why the poor guy didn't really want to press it to trial. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really hard. Can you explain to us the most you squirmed reading any one detail, being as careful as you can on the radio?
On this case or just in general?
Well, either one. Go ahead. Answer them both.
Well, I did a huge story a couple of years ago about animal torture, Miami's animal torture porn industry, which is a thing.
Oh,
and that will, yeah, just look it up. Just look up my name and Animal Crush or Crush Porn or whatever. That was very, very hard because I had to watch so many crazy things online. But it is a thing, and people got arrested for it. In this case, probably just the details of it retracting and fluid backup and all this and I didn't even see the photos in this case. So Lord help the lawyers who had to actually sit down and read all that stuff.
Yes or no, you use the phrase stiffer sentence on purpose.
Remember how you were talking the other day about how you would go to Marlins baseball players and kind of like you would just say something and they would repeat it back to you, and that was sort of the go-to thing. So I'm not going to lie, I kind of go to the defense lawyer into giving me that quote.
All right. Excellent work. David Ovalle, thank you for being our weird correspondent, our News of the Weird correspondent. Again, mangled penis leads to 40 months in prison for woman who performed illegal surgery. Do you have any other questions, Stugotz? Do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
I've got a question. David, what is, your title? What is your beat?
Well, I'm technically the courts reporter, but I kind of just say all, crime and all things weird in Miami. And it's just, I'm telling you, man, this place is addicting to cover news in. I've had chances to go so many places, but I can't stay away, man. It's like great. An addicting drug. Yeah.
It is great. Thank you, David. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We got to play that during the national show, and frankly, I'm tempted to play it right at the top of the show after that World Series game. The only thing is the local audience would get mad. That would be such an us show thing to do.
Oh, I love how you're thinking right now. I do.
But we can't do it. Should we do that? I mean, we can't do it. The thing is, every time we run an interview, we replay an interview, people get complaints. Right. We get complaints about how lazy we're being when we're not actually being lazy. We want to introduce the audience, a larger audience, a different audience 2 and 3 hours after the fact to a good interview we've done.
I mean, I will say it's a fascinating story. I don't know if you lead the show with it. Mike doesn't seem
Oh,
to be
no,
in
but the
favor
way
of it.
to do it is leading the show with it is most our show. Leading the show with it is double middle fingers. It's also a terrible idea.
Yes.
I realize that it's a terrible idea for a number of different reasons because we're just doing it to please ourselves, which that poor guy can no longer do. How great would that be, Mike? To just lead the show with no context, not mention a thing about the World Series, not introduce ourselves, just get right into...
Come on, Mike.
Great for whom? Just us, right? Just us. Man, that is so anarchist. That is just basically us, rubbing everybody's face in it.
Mike, you love sports. I know you don't love baseball. You love sports. Did you like that interview?
Yeah, I like that interview.
Was it more interesting than anything that happened last night?
Well, Mike, if we're going to do it, the best way to do it because I don't think it's more interesting than anything. Like, if you love sports.
Man, I don't even think we should replay it, though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even think we should
really?
replay it.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I absolutely think we should replay it.
Well, put that on the poll. Should we replay it? Don't say anything else.
That's a good governor for how to run this show.
Well, no, I want to see what the response is. I'm not even allowing that. No. In this particular case, I'm not allowing the audience to make this decision.
Okay.
We're going to talk this one out. But you are being scared executive guy on this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to protect us.
What are you protecting us from? Because we haven't gotten in trouble in a long time.
I understand.
Our show's a little renegade and rebellious.
I understand.
And as far as these things go, it's pretty funny performance art.
Oh, I get it. I think it's funny. And I think maybe we'd have a chance to succeed. I wouldn't be opposed to it totally, but on the day after the Cubs win the World Series.
Oh, Mike, man. I hate your reasoning.
There's just going to be more people listening.
Right.
I hate your reasoning.
There's going to be more people listening, and this could pose a problem.
You sound like such a suit, man.
I don't sound like a suit.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Well, no,
I sound like I'm somebody that's trying to protect you from suits and keep suits away from our show. I don't sound like a suit. A suit would tell you just don't do it.
He's giving the other side of it. He's
not
trying
a suit,
to protect
man.
you and trying to protect us from ourselves. Although the local audience, who's been with the show forever, is begging us to do it. Like, it's what they want us to do.
You want to do it? I'll handle the mess. I'll go ahead and handle it. But I am not being a suit here. No. I'm trying to keep them away.
Man, Mike, you don't think that's funny? You don't think for people
funny.
to be tuning in thinking Game 7, Game 7, which we're going to talk about plenty during the show, to have no context for anything and just have that story at the start? What are the ramifications? Explain to me what the ramifications are.
We're going national. The vast majority of the people listening to our show have zero context for it, which I understand might make it funny, but like the joke may totally go over people's heads that even like our show. At that point, it seems as though we're going out of our way to alienate a large portion of the audience.
Though. I don't mind that.
Okay. I will do whatever you want.
All right, well, what's the vote in the other room here? Now, Guillermo's had to go and leave to get David Bowie makeup. He's been doing it for an hour, which is why I've been saying the weird thing of Guillermo, do this at your convenience, because he's not in the other room. He's been getting David Bowie. I had a great moment this morning with I needed Guillermo's help to get some stuff out of my car, and I called Guillermo, which I've never done, to request his help. And his response was, I can't. I'm getting David Bowie makeup. So you can imagine how neurotic. I've never called Billy to ask him for a favor. And he's like, the answer was, I can't. I'm getting my David Bowie makeup. Stugotz, which way would you vote on this? Because I'm going to end up having to make an executive decision on this, and it's probably going to have some consequences, too.
I am so torn here. I would vote. I want to replay the interview during the national show. I tend to side with Mike here. I think it's going to cause us a lot of headaches. I do.
Can I say something? Like, we're left alone, generally. I like to keep it that way. Now, I understand this might be one of those times where you might want to, okay, well, if they leave us alone, let's really put it to the test. But I kind of think we're in a good spot, and I feel like if we do this, we might blow up our own spot.
Mike, this is what I hate. I hate the governor being, let's not anger the suits. I hate that ever as my governor,
right,
on anything.
But it's also the subject matter. This, I was hesitant to do this even locally because it's kind of, I mean, look at the subject matter, dude. Like, if this were an interview with Alan Thicke, I'd say go for it. But I'm just generally hesitant. That's
precisely why it's funny. I don't want to be just wacky anarchist with Alan Thicke with cheese. I want to do it with a mangled penis. Roy, which way would you vote?
I'll probably go no on that one.
Chris?
Start the show with it.
We'll wait for David Bowie. Allison, what would be your suggestion on this? Do you have a suggestion?
No.
Huh.
Like, Roy, when you say no, do you want to play it at all during the show, or just you don't want to open the show with it?
I don't want to play it at all, actually.
Really?
Yeah, dude, that's not really our Mangled Penis Talk. Ain't really our show.
Well, we're not the Howard Stern show.
But that kind of feels like we're like trying to be a cheap imitation.
Mike. There's no disputing that that's interesting. Like, I'm not doing it gratuitously because it's a mangled penis. I swear I wouldn't be doing it gratuitously. Okay. There is no disputing that if you start listening to that interview, even if you hate our show, even if you love sports and you want to hear about Game 7, you're not going to stop listening to that interview.
Oh, I was genuinely interested in finding out if it were gratuitous or not because, like, I didn't even know. Like, because it felt a little gratuitous, but you're not doing this because it's gratuitous.
Oh, I'm doing it because it was interesting. And because Miami, I love this city so much, and we do so much weird, immoral stuff here. Like, and so I'm telling you that this is one of those things. This is not, no, man. This is symbolically sort of what we do more than it is just, sophomoric mangled penis. Like, it's what we do.
Okay, because I'm outside of the suit, like, that's really, like, the main thing that's wearing on me is I don't want to be the show that does gratuitous mangled penis talk.
No, this isn't. No, this is. I don't feel like it's that. I feel like it's simply interesting and it's weird. And if you're tuning in and you're like, I want to hear Game 7, and all of a sudden it's trolling in a way that's funny.
Okay.
Because and it's Miami.
Okay, I'm glad you explained it because I'm just generally afraid of being like that show. Yeah. Like,
okay, but there's going to be blowback. Yeah. There is absolute. There's going to be blowback.
Look, man, you make the decision here. I support you. I'll keep whatever I can away from you. You want to do it. Like, but no, I'm not being a suit here. I'm just giving you like. I don't think we should replay it. I wouldn't replay it personally, but if you want to do it,
but here's the thing, though. I am all right. We'll talk about this more in a second because. I don't like the idea. This is one thing, a rule I live by. You do not keep people around you whose opinion you respect to not respect their opinion when they give it to you. And the fact that Chris is my only ally on this is disturbing.
He has terrible judgment.
Don Le Batard.
My last name means illegitimate son of the king, Stugatz. Were you aware of that?
Stugatz.
No, you know what my last name means, right?
This is the Don Le Batard show with the Stugatz on the ticket.
All right, super interesting stuff here happening behind the scenes that I'm going to let you look behind the curtain on here. I don't think we should do this at 10 a.m., and my only reason for that is because you just heard that interview, if you're listening now, a half hour ago, and I think it's a bad idea to play. We've never done that in the history of the show.
No.
Played an interview 30 minutes after doing the interview.
If we have a good interview in the local hour, we tend to play it 2 hours later.
So what I'm going to do is we're going to play it during the national show, but we'll play it later during the national show. But the reason I want to let some people look behind the scenes is because this right now might go to the morning show or might go to music or stuff because we got someone locally already doing what Mike was fearing nationally, which is threatening to yank us off the air if we play it. And what I'm telling you is that I value nothing more around here. And I love you guys. And we're in the mornings now because of you guys. That's how much I love you guys. Mm-hmm. Because you guys wanted to go to mornings, and so we went to mornings because I love you guys. But nothing matters to me more than you don't control what comes out of my mouth. And we got somebody going crazy locally right now saying that they're going to yank us off the air if we continue to talk about this. And what I'm telling you right now is fire me. Not only don't ever do that again, fire me now. If you want to control me that way. Now. Yank us off the air. Go to the morning show right now. Go to music. Go whatever you want. Go to whatever you want to go to on 790. Yank me off the air right now. I don't want to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, man. I'm doing this for Miami. And I'm doing it for 790 the ticket. Yank me off the air now. Fire me now. Cancel my contract now. You can have your money. And you can have your 9 o'clock hour, and I can get my sleep. Because this is infuriating.
I'm with you.
When I negotiated my contract, this isn't even happening nationally. This is happening locally.
Correct.
When I negotiated my contract, what I was negotiating was not money. It's you do not control what comes out of my mouth. You threatening to take me off the air because I'm talking about a story that was in the Miami Herald? And get the hell out of here. I don't know where that edict is coming from, but tell that person to go fire me. Got to be kidding me, man. It's in a newspaper. So afraid of a penis that I can't talk about something? That's such a Miami story. Like, this is exactly what I don't want to be governed by, and it's exactly what I was talking about last segment. These people who make these judgments that are just filled with fear about stupidity. It was in a newspaper that has more credibility than any radio station in this market has ever had.
And it's an interesting story, and it's the show we've been doing for, 12 years down here. I mean, this is the type of show we've done for 12 years.
Infuriating.
Yep.
Like, don't ever do that again, where you bombard my people with threats about what you're going to do to this show if we keep talking about something. Gotta be bleeping kidding me, man. Sports radio. It's sports radio. It's a story. Do you know how Miami that story is? And do you know how interesting that story is? God,
$5 for tone issues.
Yeah. The Roots. I'm telling you what this pressed on, and I'm thinking that this is as mad as you've ever heard me. I'll tell you what this pressed on.
Okay.
And I am shaking.
I know you are.
My parents came from communism, man. Like, I love you guys. Nothing matters more to me, nothing, than when this microphone is in my face, I say what I want. Not controlled by Disney, not controlled by a boss, not controlled by anybody. You know what my parents did to get me that freedom? You know what they suffered to get me that freedom, man? I have never been this angry on the air. Never.
Can't recall a time, man.
Fire me. Now. Yank me off the air, play music, go. I'm not even daring you. This is actually something I believe in. I'm not being obnoxiously defiant with ego about this. This is what my parents fled. You will not control this. No, you will not. Money doesn't matter to me. Man, I love you guys. I don't want to be up at this hour. And now you're saying you're going to control what I say at this hour when I'm doing it for you? I'm doing it from 9 to 10 for you, man, so that you can have our show. You can have a fresh hour. I did this show for free locally because of how much Miami matters to me. God, you got to be bleeping kidding me, man. You have to be bleeping kidding me.
Not just Miami, the radio station. You care about the radio station
deeply. You have
deeply.
to be bleeping kidding me. That kind of, how prude can you be? I'm not doing this. That wasn't gratuitous, man. It's a weird Miami story by a hugely credible journalist in this market that's going through a court system. Right. I'm not sitting here. I'm not sitting here doing porn or whipping. It's not that kind of sophomoric.
No, it's a real story in a city, by the way, that really, honestly, could care less about what happened last night in the baseball game for the most part.
I'll tell you the last time I was this mad. I got into an argument with the former president of ESPN. It's the only time I've ever yelled at a boss. You guys know this story, right? It's the only time I remember being this kind of angry about something. And it was the same thing that hit the button. It was the same thing. The former president of ESPN called during a show and started threatening my people if I talked about something next. And at that point, I wasn't anything to ESPN. I was just a guy hosting a show Sunday mornings that nobody was listening to. And he threatened the people around me, scared the holy hell out of them, ruined the mood of the show. And then when I called him afterward, angry but calm, to say, please don't do that, during the show, his response immediately was, you can work somewhere else. And I just went off on him. Like, who treats people that way? Like, is that your management style? Just went off. Like, I was actually being polite there. Man, oh man, it's infuriating.
ESPN's backing us up on this, though.
Are they?
I spoke with the person who manages me, my manager. Laugh and support. I'll warn the people ahead of time. He recommended we don't do it at 10. I think the radio reasons are good because it's soon after, but 10 might bring extra attention to us. But yeah, we're full go as of right now to replay that.
I want to do it at 10.
Oh, come on. They're supporting you. I mean,
They're supporting you. They're supporting you in a way that $7.90 the ticket is not.
Right.
What's the starting point on this? Where did this come from? Like, all of a sudden, I'm hearing for the first time in I don't know how long this has never happened locally to us.
Ever.
It's never happened where anybody has had on the front end threatened our show with yanking us off the air.
Man, it's a bad look because, I was worried about national. Local is what's giving me
No,
the issue?
I don't want to do that. I don't care. I just don't. What's the starting point on this? Where did this come from?
I guess the starting point is, I imagine, Mike, am I wrong here? If we did that interview any other day, it would have been okay?
I'm telling you, it's a worthy reason to be fired. How funny is that? Symbolically. Fired for talking about a surgical penis mangling. I'm telling you, I'm good with that, if that's how it ends. That's how it should end.
I mean, I prefer it not end.
No,
I don't want it to end.
No, I can make it about all the other bigger stuff, communism and the freedom fight.
You pulled that card. I was impressed. I was like,
I can make, but no, but I'd like I mean, it'd be great. We'd have people at crowds fighting against censorship, and somebody would be dressed we'd get a bunch of people to dress as mangled, right?
Yeah.
We'd get
at least one or two.
Those people that you're sad for because they're in the middle of the street spinning an arrow pointing to where you can get your taxes done, or the guy who's dressed like a hot dog,
but instead of an arrow.
Right, yeah. It's right, except right, instead of an arrow, a mangled arrow. Right.
You are hot right now, man. Woof.
I mean, it's God. The things we were negotiating for when making a move that I did not want to make. This was the top of the list. You guys got to leave me alone. You got to leave me alone. And the idea that, oh my God, man, all right, we'll take whatever consequences come with this. Incidentally, it was really nice doing the local hour for you guys. I really enjoyed it. And Miami, Miami is something I super, super care about. I'm going to enjoy the hour of sleep, but I'm going to miss you guys.